Listen, I'm no mathematician, but by my calculations, it was 38 years ago that film. And all I was saying, I spoke to the great Brian Tofano that shot the film, who was a director of photography, not that long ago, that I just thank Frank and Brian for making such a beautiful film. I'm just a kid. We're going to live forever because it's about kids growing up. You know, my old mate Phil, I'm so happy, both Phils, but you know, Daniel was, so happy to see such a great performance and such a wonderful, moving picture. Yeah. Cheers, mate.
You're obviously quite a close-knit group, because you've obviously, I mean, this is 38 years ago, and you do these events occasionally. But what do you think, can I ask this to Phil there, what do you think makes the film such an iconic film still? Is it something that you can pinpoint, or?
Well, I suppose, it's the character of Jimmy, really. I mean, I suppose, for most of us, we all feel like we've been Jimmy at some stage. You know, you're not the coolest guy in the gang, you're not the best looking. And you want to get the prettiest girl, and you don't, and life is going to be full of disappointments, and I suppose that's the secret of it. But I mean, you know, we didn't rehearse very much on the script, but we did get together and make a kind of gang of friends when we were doing our rehearsal period, and that I think was very important, because they do look like they know each other. They don't look like they've just met, and I think that was very important.
Absolutely. In fact, can I? It comes across, doesn't it? It definitely comes across that kind of thing. Jeremy, can I ask you then, if all the cast were getting together and they become this group of friends, did you hang out with them at all?
Did I hang out with
you? Yeah, did you hang out with all these young reprobates that are just starting out?
Several members of the cast have asked me, so how did you get the part? And I said, I don't know. Like 40 years ago, and I think my agent said, sort of get on a train, go to Brighton and be in a Jake's Love train. That's where I was. But I wouldn't have missed it.
It's that
anything, and I wouldn't have missed working with Frank Rodham, who is an extraordinary director, and I think after 40 years or whatever it is, tonight's showing of this film was just knockout. It's a great film. So I'm just happy again.
Daniel, can I ask you a question? And this question has been sent in by Robin Say of Tatsfield. Is Robin in the house? Yeah, about 8 of him. That really is quadrophenia. That is well done, mate. Daniel, can I ask you the question? Robin says it's still in a lot of people's favourite film list. What do you think makes it such a favourite with so many people? Such a favourite film, yes.
Favourite film for so many people?
Yeah.
Well, I mean, listen, I was, I did a couple of scenes in it, and I remember them incredibly well, because I think I had a really wonderful time. And I've got to be honest with you, all those, I think it's 37 years later or something, seeing all these people coming to see this film again and loving it again, and I love the fact that Frank Rodham's here. I mean, like me, that guy is such a top man. Anyway, listen, I'm going to pass it over to Mr. Daniels. What a great night, eh? What a great night!
He's directing the Q&A now. Phil, can I ask you then, because it is still relevant for a lot of people today. I mean, like, a lot of people will have seen it when they're in the age group of the people in the film, but do you still feel it's relevant to you now? Exactly. So, do you feel the same way, Phil, when you watch it? How do you feel watching it?
Well, I'm still the same bloke.
Yeah.
And
somebody just said
I don't take so many pills these days. But I feel great. It was nice to watch again after all these years, and it was good.
Good stuff. That's good. Now, Frank, when it first came out, it wasn't that well received. And you were disappointed by that, but did you think that would be it? I mean, you're here 38 years later.
What's very interesting is that it wasn't greatly received in the UK, and I remember the guy from Evening Standard, slagging it off. And then I was at the door, that's it. And when I went to the States, I was invited to go to Hollywood, and I went there, and about a year later, the film came out in the States, and it was, they loved it there. I think Time magazine on Newsweek said the best film to come out of England in 20 years. I was really...
I think they tried to dub us all though, didn't they? Because they couldn't understand us.
But I was like shocked that, you know, how well it was received in the States, and then it came back to England, funny enough. It seemed to come back and be successful, and then the next time I made a film in America, Alexander Walker slagged me off again. He said the wonderful Quadrophenia, but now he's gone to America and he's got himself a swimming pool. So, it did grow. I think, you know, the question that people ask is, when we made this film, did we realize that we were going to make something with everlasting effect? And the truth, the truth is, no, we didn't expect it. I was just glad to be at work. It was my first film. A lot of these actors were very new and very young, and we got a free hand from the Who and from the Who management. We had the best time. We had the best time. And I was 31 years old at the time, and I thought I was still 18 in my mind. And I was like thinking I'm a young guy. Then I started working with like 30 young guys and gals. And I realized that they were much younger and much happier, much brighter than people in their 30s. And it affected how I felt about the ending of the movie, you know, because they were fantastic to work with. They were tremendous. And there's something I should also say is that we had a very good script writer, working with myself, Martin Stellman. But it was a blueprint. When we got to make the movie, you know, I come from an improvisational school, and so did a lot of the actors, and we said, it's good, but we can make it better. If you've got a good suggestion for dialogue, do it better. And they did it, and if you look at Phil, with the postman scene, when he knocks the bike down, that's all improvisation from Phil.
Any postman here? Know what you can do.
But that sense of enjoyment really comes across. Toya, how did you come to get your role? Do you remember?
Thank you. My career started with Phil Daniels. When I was 18, I was spotted on the streets of Birmingham with my yellow and green hair and invited to do a drama with Phil at Pebble Mill. And it got seen by a director at the National Theatre, and I was invited to join the National. So, I then get a call from Frank Rodham saying that, and we weren't going to talk about Johnny Rotten, but my connection was, could I give Johnny Rotten acting lessons to get him through a screen test for Quadrophenia? He didn't get the role, and he was actually really fabulous and a fabulous human being, but Frank didn't give me a job. And I turned up outside Frank's office and I said, give me a fucking job. He hadn't cast Monkey, and I think you were very unsure about who should play Monkey, but he didn't know that I knew Phil. And Frank said, if you can come in here and do the party scene, snog Phil, the job is yours. Well, it wasn't a problem, was it?
No problem at all. That was a good scene in that party, wasn't it? Oh, a lot went on.
So I got the job.
Sounds like a really arduous audition there, definitely. Yeah. Phil, do you remember your first audition for the role of Jimmy?
Yeah, I think I wasn't very well when I went to see Frank, and I wasn't well at all, and he just said, go home. And I went home. And then I come back and got a screen test, and, you know, once Johnny Rotten turned it down, what could I say?
He's fantastic in those butter adverts, though. He's got on. That's all Toya's work.
Oi, oi.
Phil, can I ask you about your audition? Do you remember your audition at the time?
Yeah, I had several. I remember one, we went to Frank's house and we were doing an improvisation that turned into the chemist scene. So we were all creeping around his kitchen, pretending to go through his cupboards and steal stuff. And then the phone went off and we all legged it into the garden, and he kept it in the script. The phone went off. And then later on, I did a screen test too, with three of us were interested for Jimmy. I had no problem with Phil getting the part. It was brilliant. So I mentioned this not out of sour grapes because I was very happy to play Chalky. But I remember, I think I came in 3 or 4 times before it was. Yeah.
That's fantastic. Chalky indeed, yes. While we've mentioned the Sex Pistols there, I read somewhere that Mark, that you had problems on set one day, and Frank, you had this system for, you had a gift or something to calm him down, is that right?
When I first met Mark, he was a punk. You know, he came in with his pants joined together, you know, and but I realised he would be very good for the part, and anyway, and he was, and he came on, he was great, but he was very young, he was 16, and when we got to Brighton, we'd only been filming about a week, and he said, I'm leaving. And he said, why? Because one of the guys, one of the assistants, spoke kind of unpleasantly to him, you know, told him off having a love bite on his neck. And you know, and so he said, I'm leaving. And I thought, I can't leave, I need this guy, what can I do? It just so happened I had a shirt that Johnny Rotten had given to me. And what had happened is, it used to belong to Sid Vicious. And he had come to annoy Johnny one day, and Johnny had hit him with the blunt edge of an axe. And Sid had puked up. I got the shirt. I gave it to Mark, but I think his mother washed it.
My mum washed it. Thank you for not telling the real story, Frank.
I'm sorry, I still got mine.
That's amazing. Just how tough was Sid Vicious? You hit him with an axe and he throws up. Most people just fall down at that point.
It was the blunder.
Right, ladies and gentlemen, have we got anybody who wants to ask some questions from out of the audience? Have we got anybody there? My usher over there? Yeah, there's a gentleman with his hand up just by there. If you just make your way out, rather than, unless, you know, unless you can't, and I shouldn't be asking that question.
Did any of you boys actually become, and girls, proper mods from the experience you had making a film? Did you actually get in the proper scene and feel like you're proper mods?
Who wants to answer that question? Mark, well, you started off as a punk. Did you become a mod? Did it turn you to the right side?
I think when we were doing the film we felt like mods, but you know, we're actors and you're many things, you know. But no, I don't think any of us were mods, but we have mod sympathies.
Hi, I'm still a mod.
I mean, you could say that the spirit of mod runs through us. The modern spirit is in us all. But you know, the one thing I've noticed over the years, the 38 years since this picture was made, and being invited to functions like this and meeting mods, I've met mods of 75 years old, and I met a mod who's 6. Remember that little kid? Yeah, whose parents, you know, and I don't know, it's just down to earth, real people who live for something that they love doing. And, you know, I think it's great, you know, but I wouldn't say I was a mod because I'm too old, really.
So I was too young to be a mod, like the first time around in the 60s. And then after Quadrophenia came out, there was a sort of mod revival. But I'm not really a mod, I never was. But you are, I know that. But the thing about the mods is that when you look at the fashions of the 70s, I mean, they're a little bit daft, don't they? You know, with the flared jeans and the funny hair. But the mod stuff still looks cool. It still looks cool. And the music is still cool too. So mod lives on.
Well done, Phil. You've tickled their tummy nicely there. Toya, you came from a punk background as well. Did you go into the mod thing at all, or did your audiences change?
Well, when we got the jobs within the film, we had to completely immerse ourselves.
Love you, Toya!
I love you too. We had to immerse ourselves completely in the culture. And what was so exciting was we met real mods, and they took us into their houses. And we went to a party in Fulham that really was one of the wildest experiences I've ever had, where we were given drugs and we were taught how to dance. And then we went off on scooters at 4 in the morning around West London, and with these and we just had to completely immerse ourselves, and it was really so exciting. And I remember Roger Daltrey said to me, he said, "You look just like my sister." And I thought that was the nicest thing anyone has ever said to me. So whether I was a model or not, I knew I got something right at the time.
And John, what about you? Were you ever a mod, John, or?
Was I a mod?
Yeah.
I was. Yeah. I was about 15, I had a mod haircut. I came and stayed with my aunt up in North London. I went to Lord John on Carnaby Street, and I bought this double-breasted mohair jacket. And that night, I had a date with a girl in Swiss Cottage at the Odeon there, and on the way home, it pissed with rain, and I got completely soaked. And a bit like probably Jimmy in some seats in Quadrophenia, I was gutted. I was so angry because my brand new mohair jacket was absolutely soaked. Luckily, I think my aunt probably fixed it all up. But yeah. I want to say thank you here tonight to Frank Rodham, because a lot of us have been saying thanks to Frank. But number one, working with him was a pleasure. He was a man who got the job done, but as far as I could see or remember, he never lost his temper, and he had a hell of a job to do, because you don't get results like that. And Frank had a bit of an epic film to put together there. I mean, you had a great team there, didn't you? Kieran Phipps and yeah, a few others, yeah. Lastly, I want to thank Frank for the best day's work I ever had, lying in bed with a beautiful girl, waiting for the camera crew to come round. And getting interrupted by Jimmy. Whoa! Thanks, Frank. I thought, this is the life. Yeah, acting's all right. Yeah.
John Altman, ladies and gentlemen, round of applause for John Altman. Have we got anybody over this side of the room who wants to ask a question? That gentleman's got his hand up there, Mr. Bellboy, if you can... Sorry, mate.
How much did... I was going to ask, this is for Frank, I guess, but the original Who album was obviously important to a lot of people, but how much did you get the cast to listen to the original album or repeat Townsend's original idea, or did you just sort of stick to the script and take it from there?
You know, the whole thing was, it grew, you know. First of all, I was asked if I would direct the film. I just come off a successful drama film, and they loved it, and they said, would I direct the film? I met with Pete, and Pete brought along we were at Wembley Studios, he brought along some tapes, and he'd re-orchestrated Quadrophenia with strings and cellos and the like. Like he wanted to be like a rock opera like Tommy. And I didn't want to do that, and it was my first big meeting with him, and I said, wow, I better stand up here. So I said, look, I'm not going to do this. I think it's a street movie. I don't want to copy Ken Russell and Tommy. I want this to be an authentic rock film. I see it as a street movie, mostly a working class movie, and I want to use proper music, you know, that the people would listen to. So he agreed to that, and what they did was, instead of having to do the whole of the Quadrophenia music throughout the film, which was being unrealistic, they allowed me and permitted me and blessed the idea that we would use other tracks from the era. And so we put out a new album. One side was tracks from the period, and the other side of the LP was the Quadrophenia music. So I'll have to say that Pete Townsend was incredibly gracious. I met him, it's his baby, he created Quadrophenia. I said to him, I don't want to do this with this music, I want to do with this music. And he said, absolutely fine. And he handed it over to me, and I'd only met him for about 5 minutes. The rest of the Who were also fantastic, and the management. So they basically said, cast unknown people, you can have them. I wanted them for a month so I could improvise with them and work with them and get them to build the scooters and ride confidently and dance properly and so forth. They let me have the month's rehearsal. They let me cast unknowns, relative unknowns, and then they let us do the film we wanted to make. And I think it's very rare that, you know, if you work in Hollywood, they interfere. The great thing about this film is that the Who, or the management, or the producers, they didn't interfere. They let us do our work, and I tried to let the actors do their work. And when people say, why is the film still around, I think it's authentic. And it's authentic. And what is most authentic about it is it's because of the acting. You know, it's because it's authentic emotions, and I just like to say, you know, I'm in great admiration of the fantastic cast I have, you know? Superb.
Thank you very much, Frank. Thank you very much to that gentleman over there. Ladies and gentlemen, that's the end of the Q&A. Can I have a huge round of applause for Frank Bonham, John Altman, Kyle Wilcott, Mark Wingate, Trevor Nairn, Stuart Davis, Joe Charles, David Peacock, and Phil Daniels. Ladies and gentlemen.